Hi, thanks for watching. So, astrology today, the moon is in Gemini, but the news today is that the planet Uranus in the outer solar system actually turns retrograde. It's a long, long way away as Uranus. There's only Neptune and Pluto out in that area. So the effects of Uranus retrograde or anything else Uranus does can be very, very subtle, but we do get sudden changes and quite radical changes occurring when Uranus is active in the charts, basically, when Uranus is doing anything. And in retrograde, things can actually be a bit more subtle and a bit slower. It's a learning experience, it always is, and people are always keen to learn when the moon is in Gemini, so that may be no bad thing. Basically, about 40% of people have Uranus retrograde in their birth chart. This is again because it's so far away, things happen more slowly and take longer as we observe them from the Earth. For example, Venus, which is a lot closer, only about 7% of people have Venus retrograde in their chart. I'm saying Uranus is retrograde for 155 days of the year, which is very nearly half, 184, I don't know, something 180 odd anyway would be exactly half. So 155, nearly half, 40% of the time, so 40% of people get involved with it, basically. Although it's far away and the changes are subtle, the retrograde motion really does make it a bit different with Uranus. It tends to make it a bit harder to restrain our impulses, and when we're trying to plan to do something, lots of different ideas can come in and bombard us and just, generally speaking, make it quite difficult to make any progress or to be really clear about what we want to do. But this is all part of the general lessons of Uranus and the things it teaches and what astrology teaches us in life as well. Now, when Uranus actually stations retrograde, as I said, 2 degrees 33 minutes Taurus tonight, Venus is going to be square Saturn, so we may become aware of problems in our love life coming to the fore, and finances as well, that kind of thing, and things to do with believing in ourselves, self-worth. That is so important because even at times when we have no self-belief left, when we reach a low and a lull in terms of anything like that, we usually find that our friends can still see positive things about us and wish we'd get sort of stuck back into life. It may also be something to do with Mercury, because Mercury is actually retrograde as well and will stay retrograde until the 19th of this month. Then there's a bit of post-shadow, but I don't want to say the troubles, but the general stresses and extremes of Mercury retrograde are actually dying down now and will be going away. So that needn't be a problem, but it's certainly not exactly an issue, but it's a factor. It's something to think about as the moon actually heads off in that direction. Let's get some actual statistics. Let's just get those times exactly right for Uranus retrograde. It's not something you can kind of set your watch, even if you're wearing one, which I'm not. It's not the kind of thing where you can set the clock by it. It's a subtle thing that comes in, but it's worth knowing the times when these things happen, particularly if you're taking a deeper interest in astrology. So let me see, August the 7th, 2018, Uranus turns retrograde at 16:49 GMT. Now we're on GMT +1 at the moment, so I guess that's 17:49, 10 to 6 here in UK. That means 10 minutes to 1 this afternoon on the eastern side of the States and Canada, Eastern Daylight Time, and on the Pacific Coast 3 hours before that, because that's the way it goes. 13 hours later, if you're in New Zealand, you'd see that there's always a cycle going on, and when something's happened in one part of the world, it's still got to happen yet in the next part of the world, and we keep learning and we keep going on. It's a cycle, it's always a cycle. That, in a sense, is the fun of it. Let's take a look at the rest of today's alignments and what's going on in astrology. The Sun is conjunct Mercury, and Mercury, of course, is retrograde at the moment. We could be seeing some big news coming through, but with Mercury retrograde, then again, we might not. There can be impulsive decisions when Mercury is retrograde in that alignment, though. So, basically, don't just immediately act on impulse, avoid knee-jerk reactions, that kind of thing. The Moon is sextile Mercury, so in theory, it's a bit easier to express our emotions, but then again, Mercury is retrograde, so do be careful. Just tread carefully. There's nothing to fear. It's just really worth treading carefully. Mercury retrograde is square Jupiter, so we're looking at important communications being at issue. Well, that is certainly always the case in Mercury retrograde. We may not, however, get the answers we want. Where that is the case, though, there will be new learning and new things will be revealed. Venus is trine Mars, so there's a lot of affection on that side of things. Mars is void in Aquarius, so there could be a certain amount of panic, people taking risks, that kind of thing. Particularly people taking risks, silly risks, which favour themselves or maybe just one person that they want to big up and support, and do that to the exclusion of what's safe and what's happy and healthy for everybody else. So that is one to watch out for. But never fear these things, it's always positive. Keep it real, that's the bottom line. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. I'll be here again tomorrow if I possibly can. The internet doesn't allow me, but I look forward to seeing you then. If you can share me around a bit, that would be fantastic. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon. Have a good Tuesday. Goodbye.